The Gorkha's Story, a book which in fact is the collection of 40 narrative poems, was released today here at a brief function in Sikkim Manipal University. Well, the poems has been penned by none other than Prayash Gupta Gorkha. We'll find out more exactly on the book and also on the aspect of writing from Prayas himself. Prayas, first and foremost, congratulations. This book has been released by none other than the Dean, Brigadier Bijay Kumar Mehta of SMIMS. And is this your first, a book, or you have penned on other?
Well, thank you very much, King Chronicle. Well, this is my third book. My first book was Poetry Pilgrimage that I wrote back in 2014. My next book is Ishwar Pick Up the Call that I wrote in 2017. This is my third book, The Gorkha Stories' third book. I started writing The Gorkha Story 2 years back, and The Gorkha Story is a collection of 40 narrative poems that deals with the aspiration, endeavor, and dream of Indian Gorkhas. And it deals about their dream of the entire Indian Gorkha, the Gorkha diaspora, and all the other communities that are solely attached to the Gorkhaland sentiments. In the poems, you can find about the plight of the innocent tea garden workers of Darjeeling who are still struggling for the minimum wages. You can also find about the brave Gorkha soldier and the rich customs. You can find about the fascinating Darjeeling landscape, its beauty and tranquility.
Right. So, in a way, I can say like you are an expressionist, in your own way through the poems. So, tell us, how do you draw your inspiration to write down the poems?
Well, I work in Sikkim and I was born in Darjeeling. See, when I open my eyes, everywhere I find inspiration because the nature itself is an inspiration. When I look at people, there is inspiration. When I look at hills, there is inspiration. When I look in and around, there is inspiration all over the nature that I stay in.
Right. So, in fact, you are a multifaceted personality. You are a columnist. You are a singer. You write songs, and as well as you are the author. When it comes to writing, what kind of genre you are more inclined to, or you are more interested on?
Yeah, well, I have experiment different kind of genre. Like poetry pilgrimage, I have already wrote about poems, and I have also wrote about novella in Ishwar Pick Up the Call. And as I told you, this is my third book, the Gorkha Story. It's a collection of poems, and I have wrote short stories also, 10 short stories. And in future, I am planning to write novel also. I am planning to experiment in novel also. But my main interest is in poetry.
So you like being experimental when it comes in terms of writing, right? So can you tell us or name some authors whom you like to read?
Yeah, I like to read. I'm inspired by the poetry of Rabindranath Tagore, and I like to read Robin S. Nongnom of Northeastern poetry. I like to read T.S. Eliot, and I like to read the contemporary Indian poets to draw my inspiration.
Right. So when we come and talk about the narrative of the changing dynamics of especially the writing, because now the space has been more overtaken by the digital space, right? We have a Kindle or we have any other apps where easily we can read any books. So how do you see this? Because I strongly feel the essence of reading a book is different from what we get in reading from Kindle. How do you see the changing dynamics?
Yeah, changing dynamics. It's we have according to according to the changing situation, the dynamics is coming. But book reading is very important. That is what I feel. Reading in Kindle it's okay, but book it has got its own importance, and we have to keep this tradition. We have to save this tradition. We have to publish book. We have to keep it in print so that it goes on to generation. But the time will come. I guess the time will come when and that thing will be replaced by e-book, Kindle book. But as far as possible, we should try our level best to go with the print aspects.
So one of the challenges basically the writers faces is especially when they didn't rope in if they don't rope a proper publisher, then marketing of the book is quite an a Herculean task. How do you see writers on this?
Right from the very beginning itself, writing it's a very difficult journey. It's a very difficult endeavor. See, after writing, we face so many challenges. After writing, we need to first we need to write, then we need to refine, then we need to find publishers, then we need to market, then we need to have some kind of brand. So for all this endeavor, we need infinite passion to do something in writing. So only when we have passion, then we can move forward in this field. No, that is what I feel, and for youngsters also, if they have infinite passion in them, they can move on in this field. But they should not lose hope, because it is not going to be an easy sell. But once they publish book and book will be in their hand, they will feel some kind of soul satisfaction. That it is.
So,
that is.
with so much of political indifferences in Darjeeling Hills, basically, when we talk in politics, do you think this book would, like, somehow help people to again unify? Because what we have seen is like the Gorkhaland aspirations, basically, politically, what we talk is like, is now somewhat getting like, sublimed. So, do you think like this book will help?
Yeah, definitely. But if not right now, in the days to come, definitely it will help, because so many people are getting educated, and definitely if they will read, it will help them. Because my sole purpose is again to highlight the aspiration and the dream of the Indian Gorkhas, and I believe in the days to come, even more new poets will be born from Darjeeling. More writers will be born, and they will contribute to the literature of the field.
Right. Okay. So, I mean, what age you started writing?
I started when I was in my college days. I started writing. Actually, I used to write love letters during that time, and slowly it got converted.
Okay, so love letters are inspirations, like to write. Anyways, what would be a message to all those people watching you right now? Because, like what we strongly feel in is like in Sikkim, people hardly have that reading habits, right? So, what is your message to all the people there?
Message is, as far as other art is concerned, entertainment is concerned, music is concerned, dance is concerned, it will be it will be famous. They will earn fame overnight. But literature, since it is a different dynamo, what I want is, especially youth, I want them to engage themselves in reading books, novels, poetry, so that they will also have an interest, and who knows, someone may be a better poet in days to come.
Okay, and where can we get the book?
Definitely, you can get book in Flipkart, Amazon, and all the social networking sites.
All right, and congratulations and all the best.
Thank you.
So, well, that was Prayash Gorkha, who in fact has released his new book, The Gorkha Story. So, we request you to kindly purchase this book and read his poems, and we should support the writers and authors. With camera person Ashish Gurung, this is Nirmal reporting for Sikkim Chronicle.